Hello, my name is Sierra Hicks, and this is my full senior thesis at North Carolina Central University. The relationship between race-related stress and daily well-being. This study examined the adverse effects of race-related stress and what happens to the mental health and daily well-being of those who deal with this routinely. The demographic included Black Americans because there has been a large focus on the amount of racism they deal with today in our society. Due to the discrimination that Black Americans have to face in institutional, cultural, and individual, this overall affects their life satisfaction. In this systematic review, we aim to examine the evidence on the true effects of race-related stress and what it does to the well-being of those affected by this race-related stress, as well as what plays into the day-to-day issues that cause a person stress when it comes to race. What is race-related stress? Race-related stress refers to the psychological distress that is associated with the experience of racism. Racism is the racial prejudice that has been involved in the functions of major institutions, corporations, and even social systems such as universities, banking, housing, and governmental policies. Racism leads to discriminating against minority groups and then continues to benefit and privilege the majority racial group which then holds, of course, most of the power in the institutions, corporations, and systems. It is when the majority groups make decisions based upon these prejudices that this can lead to the unfair and unequal barriers that are against the minority groups that they have to live with basically everywhere in their day lives. What is daily well-being? According to Deci and Ryan, needs are defined as essential to living entities' growth, integrity, and health. They explain that the needs for competence is fulfilled by the experience that one can effectively bring about desired effects and outcomes, and the need for autonomy involved perceiving that activities are congruent with the self and the need for relatedness. Well-being comes from our overall thoughts, actions, and experiences that most of the time we have some sort of control over. There are 5 different types of well-being that focus on emotional, physical, and social, workplace, and societal. She explained that to build your overall well-being, you have to make sure that all of these are functioning to an extent. Literature review of research on race-related stress. Study on dimensions of race-related stress and African American life satisfaction, cultural stress, and coping framework was used to investigate the influence of 3 dimensions: individual, institutional, and cultural, of discrimination-based related stress and collective efficiency of African American life satisfaction. The results showed that the education level was also very positively correlated with cultural race-related stress. Lastly, individual, cultural, and institutional race-related stress was significantly negatively correlated with collective efficiency and life satisfaction. Literature review of research studies on daily well-being. This research explored the hypothesis that daily variations may be understood in terms of the degree to which the basic needs, autonomy, competence, and relatedness are satisfied in daily activity. The goal of the study was to extend the model of satisfaction and daily well-being to include relatedness, which is fundamental to social needs. And second was to explore the source of relatedness in everyday social activities. The findings from this study help verify the importance of 3 basic needs of autonomy, competence, and relatedness in their emotional well-being. Methodology surveys to measure race-related stress and daily well-being. The index of race-related stress, a brief version, is the first scale I used to assess the stress experienced by Blacks as a result of the day-to-day encounters with racism as well as discrimination. The participants will be asked to indicate which race-related events that they have experienced during their lifetime and also explain their reaction to this event on a 5-point Likert scale. 1 being this never happened to me, 5 being this happened to me and I was extremely upset. The higher the global scores help to indicate more race-related stress, and the low global scores indicate lower overall race-related stress. Another survey to measure race-related stress and daily well-being that I used was the Black Racial Identity Attitude Scale long form, which was a self-reported 50-item scale that assessed racial identity status attitudes or racial identity profiles. The racial identity status attitudes are pre-encounter, encounter, immersion, and internalization. Racial identity attitudes important to understand the degree to which individuals hold attitudes from each subscale. The participants will use a 5-point Likert scale. Higher scores will indicate the levels of that attitude. Attitude in psychology refers to the emotions and beliefs of behaviors toward a particular person, thing, or object. They are often a result of an experience or upbringing. Attitudes shape our daily well-being because if we feel a particular way about our life or our worth in general, it affects our overall well-being. Data analysis, multivariate statistics to test race-related stress and daily well-being. Linear regression calculates the relationship between one or more variable and one outcome variable. For my linear regression equation, I plan to test the relationship between race-related stress and daily well-being. I believe that there will be a strong correlation between the number of times someone has had to deal with race-related stress and their overall well-being. For the linear regression, I will use variables such as individual racism, institutional, and cultural racism to examine their roles in predicting race-related stress.